All right, let's go into words matter because they matter, or they matter. Sometimes you hear a phrase, you hear it so often it loses its meaning. Other times you think you know the meaning. Do you really? Each Wednesday, our resident wordsmith, the broadcaster extraordinaire Kel Richards, pulls apart the words of the moment. And each time I hear him on words, I reckon I learn something new. He's with us now from Sydney. Kel, I want a bit of a campaign flavour. We're in the sort of final stages of the US presidential campaign. Given they've got to get out the vote in America, it's not compulsory voting like us. They have to fire up their base and then get others. So words are real campaign weapons, incredibly important if you get them right, but a bit of an own sort of grenade in your own camp if you don't. President Trump has always used adjectives to define his opponents. In one word, I reckon, he nails it. Now, that's not easy to do. They're incredibly powerful and they cut through better than dozens and dozens of other phrases.
Yes.
We had Crooked Hillary last time round. This time it's been Sleepy Joe Biden. I know it's personal. I know his critics say it's all personal, but it bites, doesn't it?
It does, and we need to remember that Trump is a great campaigner. I mean, as you say, voting is optional in America. You've got to get him out to vote, so you've got to give him enthusiasm, and he's a great campaigner. He is great at doing that. But he's come up with a number of expressions for Biden. When Biden first went to the basement, he started calling him Joe Biden. One stage he called him Sleepy Joe, then he expanded that to Sleepy Creepy Joe, then Crazy Joe, and now he's Slow Joe, which really implies that his mental processes are slow. And unfortunately for poor old Joe Biden, whose candidacy should be included under the heading of elder abuse, he sort of supports it by the way he functions quite often. Carl, the other one he really likes is crazy. He attacks Nancy Pelosi, calling her crazy Nancy, and nervous Nancy on occasions. He's attacked Kamala Harris as crazy Kamala. And he called her Marge Simpson. Now, for some reason, that caught on and people started talking about it. The actress who does the voice for Marge Simpson had to then say, oh, no, she didn't think that Kamala Harris was a horrible person at all. That's because people notice these things and they catch on, and it is good campaigning.
Yeah, and it's looking at some sort of idiosyncrasy that most people are picking up that's not quite right in focus groups, but you synthesise it and you nail it in a word. Or famously in that handshake in the 2004 election, John Howard, Mark Latham, something crystallises at a moment. Now,
can I just say they're not good at doing it to Trump. They're not as good at coming up with names for Trump.
OK, come on that one, because they call him a liar and a racist.
Yes.
Tell us whether they land any blows.
Well, they keep saying it again and again on the assumption that if you say it often enough, then it will start to hit. What they haven't come up with is a kind of Slow Joe, Sleepy Creepy Joe sort of slogan. I searched through what the major media organisations were saying, and the only nickname or label they ever came up with was a team of NBC reporters who were doing a report at a time when there's a big turnover in the White House staff, and they called him a Captain Chaos. But it didn't catch on. And it was repeated once or twice in the New York Times and the Washington Post, and then was dropped. So they haven't been as good at labelling Trump as Trump is at labelling his opponents.
Yeah, look, he's got that showman sort of reality TV ability to sort of pick a mark with Middle America. Fake news. Okay. Big word or big phrase last time round, still pretty powerful.
Oh, absolutely, because it's marked the whole of his presidency. When you get something like the Atlantic Monthly running a story based on 4 unnamed sources saying that Trump called dead American servicemen, what do you call them, losers, and those kind of really negative terms. He didn't say it. 11 people who were there at the meeting when the decision was made not to go to that World War I cemetery, they all say the words weren't said. Even John Bolton, who doesn't like Trump, said they weren't said. So someone writing this article at the Atlantic Monthly sat down and someone somewhere at some point invented this. That's what fake news means. It's fiction being portrayed as fact. That's fake news. The expression is an old one. The expression first turned up in the 1890s in a Wisconsin newspaper, but it bubbled away in the background until 2016. And in the 2016 election, Trump used it. Well, for a start, the mainstream media used it because they started becoming alarmed at what was happening on social media. So they were saying, no. Read our newspapers, look at our television news bulletins. That's the reliable stuff. What's on social media? That's fake news. Well, they put it into currency. 2016, Trump picked it up. And he started talking about the fake news that was being peddled about him. And other people did as well. In December 2016, so after the election, Hillary talked about fake news being peddled about her. So the expression is now part of the currency, and we can see from that Atlantic Monthly story, which has come up during this campaign as part of the campaigning, that it's still being peddled. The idea, and the problem is when you move from disinformation to misinformation. Disinformation is something someone has made up. They know they're lying. They know they're just telling you a story. Misinformation is someone who believes it in an innocent, naive sort of way and passes it on. So the disinformation is done by the people who invent these stories and peddle them. The misinformation is when the populace of America start thinking, yes, that's right. It must be true. They're saying it in this publication or that publication.
Brilliant as always, Kel Richards. See, I tell you, I learn something every time. I'm sure people at home have too. Thank you for your time tonight.
Can we mention The Spectator? Because my monthly column about language...
I am going to mention that because if
wonderful.
People want to get onto all of this language stuff and how it matters, you have a column in The Specky every week called Language Notes. Please pick up The Spectator. Thank you, Kel Richards.
Thank you.